Uh, Hello everyone, my name is Mahindo Mbarak and I welcome you to our other class of creating mobile application. In today's class, we are going to go into practicals of making real mobile application. Before, we've been looking at basics of that programming language, and we got introduction to that programming in a structured programming way, and then we went ahead and looked at object-oriented programming, where we looked at classes and objects. So I believe at this moment, if you've been following from the first lecture and you've been practicing what I've been requesting you to, I hope you now know at least basics of that. So that means that you have good grounds of getting started with Flutter as a platform for creating mobile application. So in this class, I request you to be so much attentive because by the end of this class, it's when you'll be able to create your first mobile application. As we always do, we'll begin with our first section of 60 minutes, and then we'll have a break. And after drinking water, we'll come back and finish the last session. So we're going to cover a lot and most important things that may even change your life. Once you know this knowledge, the way you're going to and you practice and you be good at it, the way you're going to think is not going to be the same way that you were thinking before. You're going to get ideas. You're going to have even more capabilities, more things that you can do than the one that you've been doing. Because one thing that I've learned, once you have more abilities, even the mode of thinking changes. If you grew up, you know that you can do a certain thing, maybe doing a certain business. But when you start getting more skills, then you see that even things start changing, the way even you think, even the way how you plan your time. So with that much simple information or introduction, let's go straight into the business. Okay? So as I told you before, I said that Flutter is nothing but an development kit or an SDK that will help you to do things with simplicity and then convert that whatever you've done and make it something and communicate with with an operating system. So we'll do something that is with less pain and achieve something really big. For example, creating a button in Java or creating a button with a plain Android programming like Java or Kotlin, it can cost you like 10 lines, okay? But with Flutter, it's going to cost you like 3 lines, and those lines will be really organized, not in a way that you need a back end and a front end, because that's how Java and Kotlin do it. You create a button as a user interface, again you come and write the back end, it's another side. But with Flutter, you can do all the things in one line. So it is very, very important, and it's going to solve our most of our problems. So, as I said, Flutter is an SDK, so it means that you'll have to add it in your computer to use it. So the first thing that you do, you'll open your browser. I will share with you the video that will show you how you can do those things specifically. So open your browser, go to google.com and search for Flutter SDK. So I hope you guys have somewhere to note down. Sorry, SDK. You should get a paper and a pen where you'll be noting down some important points that I'll be making. So go ahead and search Flutter SDK, then come and click on install. And then here, installation documentation, they will show you step by step of how you can install Flutter on your machine. So for me, if I'm using Windows, I'll click here. If I'm using Mac, I'll click here. So if I use Mac, you'll go ahead and download the one from Mac. In the previous class, I showed you how you can download huge files. Okay? For example, this file is going to be 1 GB. So you should be having enough data, at least 1.5 GB as your data. And also, maybe you can use the application that I shared with you to download a big file like that one. You can even use it to download movies. And to download for example, I want to download this Flutter. I will just simply click on download. Then it will start. For example, if I'm using the Intel chip, I'm using the Apple Silicon, the the M1 chip. So I can go ahead and click on that, and then I start downloading. So when it starts downloading, I'll cancel it. Okay, I'll cancel it. Okay, then I'll come and download this software that I told you, FDM. You can use it even to download movies. We use it to download what you call torrents. So go ahead and download this FDM, whether you're on Windows or Mac. Go ahead and download this FDM. It even have the Android version. So download the FDM and let it go to your laptop or your computer. And once it finishes downloading, this is what you'll get. You'll have something like this. Okay. So once you go ahead and open FDM, and then after you come to your downloads, go to your Chrome and go to downloads, okay, and then you copy the path or the link of Flutter. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy the link address where I would have downloaded it. Remember, I've cancelled it. Then after, I'll click on this plus. I'll open FDM and click on plus, and then I can click OK, and then it will start downloading. So the advantage here, even though my internet goes off, it will still do what? It will be able to resume. And also the other advantage here, it downloads really faster than what? Than the normal browser. You can pause, you can do anything. So once it finishes, you'll have the Flutter SDK in your laptop. So let me go ahead and delete this file because I don't need it. So that's how you download SDKs using Flutter. So if you want to download movies, I'll show you. Go to yts.mx, and then you'll find there are a lot of movies. Okay. First of all, you may also first determine the movie that you want. Best movies. Okay. It's relevant. So look for the movie that you need. Maybe this one, like this beast. Okay. So once you determine the movie that you need, visit yts.mx. I think some of you think I'm now crazy to show you these things, but we know this is part of life. Okay, it's freestyle thing. Okay, so go ahead, go to yts.mx and click on quick search. So let us say I want to download this movie called The Beast, this one. So I'll come here and search Beast, The Beast. Okay, so they'll show you the suggestions, the movie with their years. For example, the Beast of 2022. Click there. So if I have FDM, I'll just simply click on download. Then they'll show me. But you'll find some adverts, a lot of adverts popping up. So you'll be closing them. So you click on the magnet. So according to your size of your data, the size of the storage that you have, the internet speed, you can determine the size that you want. So if you have less data, so less size, of course less quality. Higher size, higher quality. But higher size, of course more data. So I can click on this magnet icon. So when I click on the magnet icon, it will take me to FDM. And when I say OK, it will start downloading that movie. So that's how you can download free movies in your free time if you have too much data using FDM. But that's not the business of today. That is just one trick. You can also download any kind of software from the piratesbay.org, though that's not part of our today's business. So you can download all the softwares from here and movies using what? Using the FDM. Okay. So assume that our Flutter has finished downloading. Then the next thing, you'll go ahead and unzip that what? Unzip that Flutter zip that you'll have downloaded. Then after unzipping it, you'll put it in a certain path. I'll share with you the specific video that will show you how you can set up the Flutter in your laptop or in your computer. So after installing it, copy that unzipped file, that folder, put it in a path that is not going to confuse you. For example, if you're using Windows, you can put it on disk C. I'll show you in that video that I'll share with you. If you're using Mac, you can put it maybe on the top of your disk. Then after, you go ahead and create for it a path. As here, they'll show you step by step how you can put it in the path. And then after, you should be able to run the Flutter commands. So if you're using Windows, still the same. You click on Windows and then they'll show you step by step. So if you get stuck, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep trying. You can as well learn from other teachers. how to install Flutter. Okay, so you can learn from other teachers. You can try like 10 videos. Go to YouTube, and for example, if my video that I'll share with you, it does not help you because setting up can become challenging. Try these different YouTube. See, there are so many YouTube videos. Try 10 different YouTube until you're successful, because you know the first one to do what? To set it up. So when you're successful, then come back to me and I show you now how we proceed. Okay, so that is it. So don't give up. That's all the whole point that I'm trying to make. Don't give up on setting up. Maybe you find that it's problematic. Another one will spend 1 day to do what? To set up. Another one will spend maybe 1 hour. Another will spend maybe 30 minutes while everything is already okay. So another one can spend even 3 days. But the main point is it is all possible and it's not magic. Okay? So after installing Flutter, from the video that I will have shared with you or from any other tutor, you will be able to open your terminal and run Flutter like this, the command called Flutter. So run from the command called Flutter, we get these things, these lines that are telling you that Flutter has been installed. So you can clear your screen, and to confirm that Flutter is really there, you can run a command called Flutter Doctor. So Flutter Doctor will give you the whole status of your what? Of your Flutter setup. So once you are able to get Flutter setup and shows that you have successfully set it up, so you'll be able to do what? To create a Flutter what? A Flutter project. So you see my Flutter Doctor is still analyzing. It can take a minute to analyze and show you the current setups of your what? Of your computer. And the setup of Flutter. You see, Flutter is already installed, and then the update is there. So they are showing me everything. So everything is okay apart from this. So you can go ahead and run the Android license, okay, until you successfully install Flutter as you supposed to, until you successfully run the Flutter command. So after running the Flutter command, so the next thing will be to create your Flutter project. So to create Flutter project is pretty simple. You go ahead and see where you are. For example, write pwd to see where your project is. You see, I'm in Mac, users Mac. So I can, so likewise to Windows, you can see where you are writing pwd. Okay, you already know these things. I taught them to you. So I can proceed to my desktop by writing ls. When you write ls, you'll see the list of folders that are there. So I can proceed to my desktop by saying cd desktop. You see, there I am. So I know my folder of GitHub is there on desktop. So I can proceed to the folder of GitHub. So I say cd git, okay? I mean cd GitHub there. So I now know I'm in a folder of what? Of GitHub there. So I can go ahead and create my Flutter project. So to create a Flutter project is really simple. Okay? You just write the command of creating Flutter project. Just simply write Flutter and then the word create, and then you put the name of the project. Okay, so I can put maybe Flutter test project of Flutter test like this. Okay, I'm going to delete it. Flutter test. So when I press enter, Flutter create test like this. It's not a package. Flutter create. Is it Flutter create? My test should be one word. You see, Flutter create. You're not supposed to begin that Flutter, right? So Flutter create test. So you see, I've successfully created my what? My Flutter project. So if I want to proceed into that project, I can just simply say cd means change directory, and then I write the name of the project. It is called my test. So if I say my test, you see the folder is there. If I press enter, I'll be able to proceed the folder. If I say ls, I'll be able to see the Flutter folder project. Okay, that's when you're using terminal. So if you want to run it, you can say Flutter run, but you're not going to do those things blindly. So the main point here, I want to go to see where the project is. I can close here, okay, and then I go to my folder, which is here. I go to desktop, I go to GitHub here, and then I move to Flutter test. I should find there that Flutter. I mean, it's called my test. You see, it is here, my test. So once I have that folder, it means that I can even open that folder from anywhere I want. So we are going to use editors. Okay. So there are two editors that are recommended for Flutter development. The first one is Visual Studio Code. The second one is Android Studio. Both of them, they have pros and cons. They have advantages and disadvantages. So for example, the pros of using Visual Studio Code is that Visual Studio Code, it is light. You don't need to have a very, very powerful computer to run Flutter project. And then the cons of it, it does not really look very good. And for me, I don't know for others, but for me, when you're using Visual Studio Code, you will not have full control on your Flutter project. Things will not look very great. So that's the con that I have on Visual Studio Code when you're doing Flutter project. Then on Android Studio, you know, they are the creators of the Flutter. So with Android Studio, the con is the disadvantage of Android Studio. It is heavy. If you're having a laptop that is having less than 4 GB RAM and it does not have i3 and above the CPU, don't dare even to install Android Studio. You'll be just creating pain for yourself. Okay, so guys, I recommend you to upgrade your laptops if you want to learn if you really want to learn these things. The first thing you should note down, your laptop should be having at least SSD. If you don't know SSD, this is what you meant by SSD. Okay, storage. It's a solid storage device, not hard disk. Hard disk will slow you down. Will really slow you down. So give it what it takes. Sacrifice by SSD and remove that hard disk from your laptop so that you become a real developer. Otherwise, if you're still using hard disk, things are going to be super slow and you're going to be demoralized. You may even end up giving up. I'm telling you facts. So please go ahead and sacrifice. It can be less than 300 Ugandan shillings. 300,000. It's less than 200,000, I think. Go to town, change your laptop. Change your storage from hard drive to SSD. That's when your laptop will be fast. And your RAM should be more than 3 GB. Otherwise, if you don't have a hard disk to work, but things will be really slow and you may even give up along the way because things will be super slow. So now this is the project that I have. I can go ahead and drag and drop it into what? Into the Visual Studio Code. You see? So it means that I'm opening it into Visual Studio Code. So if I expand it, you'll be able to see my Flutter project there. Okay? So you'll have to add the plugin of Flutter so that Visual Studio Code should recognize your project as a Flutter project. So to add the plugin or the extension of Flutter into Visual Studio Code, that is a very important thing that you should know. You will just simply come here to where there is extensions and search a Flutter extension right here, Flutter, like this. So you should be connected to internet for the first time. So you'll see the extension that will help you to debug the Flutter. See, it is here. It is having a blue tick. Click on it. Go ahead and install it. So for me, I already have it. Installing it is not magic. Just simply click on install and then it will come to your laptop or your computer. So I have it, so I don't need to again do what? To install it. So that one will be able to enable you to use Flutter in your project. So after doing that, then it means that you now have Flutter in your in your project, and then you'll be able to see things in form of this. So these are the folders that you'll have when you create a Flutter project. These are the folders. I will explain them, but I'll explain them maybe from Android Studio, but they are simply straightforward folders. And you see our main file here. I'll explain from Android Studio. So if you're a Visual Studio person, go ahead and run your project by just simply coming to Go to run, and then say start debugging. Okay, so there you'll be able to run your project. But before you click there on run, there are some few things that I'll have to show you how you'll debug your project. So leaving it there, let me show you now the plan B, or the most recommended one, which is using the Android Studio. Even though using Visual Studio, it's okay, it will work, but I'm not a fan of Visual Studio. But you can still go ahead and use Visual Studio. Everything will be all right. Okay, as I said, I'm not going to use this project. I already have a project that I created, a fresh one, and it's the one that I'm going to use. So I can go ahead and delete. So if you want to put now this project on GitHub, now you can go ahead and drag and drop it to your GitHub project. I mean GitHub folder. If you have a special folder that you want to create for specific this project for GitHub, go ahead and create a GitHub repository as I showed in the previous videos, and then come and copy all the files that are here and drag them into that GitHub repository, and then push them. Okay, I'll show you how I'm going to do mine. So let me go ahead and delete this guy because I don't need it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I'm going to put my project. I just called it mshop. It's a new project that I just created right now. It is here, mshop. It is just a completely free new Flutter project. Now I'm going to show you how you're going to be putting your project to GitHub of Flutter. So after creating the new project of Flutter, so the next thing, I'm going to create a GitHub project for it, repository, so that I should be able to, the advantages of GitHub, right? So I don't need again to explain myself. So let me go ahead and open my GitHub for desktop. Sorry if I'm taking you so far, but all of these are only important for you. I'm here. I'm going to create a new project. So to create a new project, you just simply click here, and then you'll find the button of creating new. Where is it? Here. Add. Okay, so when you click on add, I'm going to say add new repository. Okay, so my project is going to be mshop, or I can say Flutter e-commerce, or anything. I don't know how you can call yours. Maybe mine can call it mshop, because before you create a project, by the way, the first thing that you have to do is to determine the idea of the project that you're going to do. You cannot just come from anywhere and start creating project. So before you start creating project, first determine the idea. For example, I want to create a shop. So I call it mshop, or mobile shop, or anything. So if you're learning for practicing, so it's up to you. So I'm creating a new repository called m-shop, and then after I can put m_shop or anything. Okay, I can say my shop. I can say Flutter shop. Flutter shop, like this. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to put it somewhere. So I specify where it should be saved, and it is okay. It should be saved under desktop on GitHub. So for you can specify anywhere you want. I can put here the description of this project. Okay, Flutter, maybe Flutter practice. Okay, so whatever. Okay, you can give the description. So after I create the repository, so that's what you're going to do, because that's going to be your next assignment. So I have my own repository here, and then I publish it to my account. Okay, so I'm publishing this repository to my account. Publish. So publishing may take a minute. I have kept it private. I wanted it to make it public so that you can be able to access it, but I can change. So it is being published, so I can click on view to GitHub, and then it will show me where it is. Let me go ahead and do what, and make it public. Here it is. So I can go ahead and set it and make it public, maybe. Change visibility, so that you guys can be able to do it, to access it. I want to make this repository public. Make this repository public. Yes. Okay. I put my password. Do I still remember it? I hope. Yeah. So it is okay now. Now, if you come to github.com/mobahood/Flutter shop, you'll be able to see this project. Okay, but you know this project has nothing inside it. There are nothing. Okay, so I'm going to put my Flutter files. Okay, so to do that, I'll come to our GitHub for desktop and I click open or show folder in Finder. If you're using Windows, you'll see show folder in Explorer. So here it is. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop my Flutter projects, my Flutter project files here. I will come and look for mshop. You see mshop, so I can drag and drop the whole of it. But how I want to do it, I want to come to mshop here, the main project, the main folder, not the outside folder, but the main folder. I can make every file visible. To make every file visible, press Ctrl and Shift and the dot on Mac. But on Windows, you go to settings and make settings, view setting, and then you unhide every file. So I select every file. You see, this is my project of Flutter inside the folder, and I want to drag and drop this one into my repository. Where is it? It is called mshop. I can as well come back to GitHub here, and then I say show in Finder, which is this one. Flutter shop, sorry, Flutter shop, this one. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop these guys here. So I'll drag and drop them here. Everything is beautiful. So everything has been copied from the temporary Flutter project that I created into my GitHub repository. Okay, so what next? The next thing, I'll have to commit and publish these changes. So I can go ahead and say my first changes. So these are just good practices, not becoming wordy, but these are good practices. So I can go ahead and publish them. So they can take a minute to sync. It depends on your internet speed. So you see, they're being published. So if I come now to my project and I refresh, you see, beautiful, and you can see everything has come to what? So if you're using, wherever you are, if you clone my project, you'll be able to get my changes. So every time I finish something, I'll just go ahead and push. So when I give assignment, you'll do that. When you finish making your changes, you push, and then everything will come here and I'll be able to trace your work. You get it, If you don't get it, you forget about it. Don't forget about it, You keep trying, okay? So that's it. So everything is beautiful and everything has been published. I can go ahead and proceed, okay? So that's how we add our Flutter project into what? Into our GitHub. So the next thing now, we have already seen how we open it to Visual Studio Code. For those with weak laptops, please don't do things that are not of your sizes, okay? So maintain Visual Studio Code. For those with powerful laptop, you're having more than 4 GB RAM, yes?
Is that the only way of creating the project, or is there any other way?
Creating which project? The Flutter project? So to create a Flutter project, I think that's the only way. If you're using Visual Studio Code, it is simple. Just go ahead and open your Visual Studio Code. Okay. Then open a certain folder. Then go to terminal and write Flutter create and the name of the project. You see? Like this. Open your terminal if you're using Visual Studio Code after you've successfully installed Flutter. If you use Visual Studio Code, open a folder that you want to go to and then expand the terminal and write the command Flutter create, then the name of the project. Is it so complicated? It is not. So that is one way if you're using Visual Studio Code. Okay. The second way, you have your Android Studio. So that is the other way of using Visual Studio Code, right? You have to write that. Well, it's just one command. It's not really Chinese, okay? And when you keep on practicing, you'll get used, So don't be scared. So the second way, open your open your Android Studio. To install Android Studio is very, very simple. Just simply go to your browser, search Android Studio, and then download it. using this method that I showed you, and then open the file and install it. Okay, so I already have my Android Studio there. So the next thing, you'll have to add the plugin of Flutter into your Android Studio. So if you already have Android Studio, well and good. If you don't have it, download and install it. But I'm repeating this: install Android Studio if you're having 4 GB RAM and above, and you're having i3 and above. It should be i3 or i5 and above. If you're having the dual core, please know your limits. Don't try Android, okay? If you're having dual core, it's not for dual core, okay? So have at least i3 and above. And I recommend to put SSD, not that one down. Everyone should put SSD. I think someone should mute their microphone. So this is my Android Studio already opened. Someone should mute their microphone, okay? So my Android Studio is there. So the first thing you'll have to do, you'll have to add Flutter plugin, not SDK, plugin of Flutter into your Android Studio. Click on plugin here and then search Flutter like this. Okay? So you'll see the plugin there. So me already have it. Just click, just like the way we added this Flutter plugin in Visual Studio Code. So likewise to Android Studio, you'll have to also add it there. So me already have it there. So I just click on install, then it will go ahead and install itself. Me already have it. So they will ask you that this plugin will depend on the Dart plugin. So you can go ahead and install the Dart plugin. So I already have both of them installed. Installing them is really straightforward and simple. Just click on install. Boom. So it will ask you to restart Android Studio. You go ahead and restart it. You see, they are the only plugins that I have. So once you restart your Android Studio, the next time you open it, so after you've successfully installed Flutter, when you open it, this is what you will have. This is what you'll have, okay? Now, if you're using Visual Studio Code, there is no way how you'll skip that thing of creating the creating Flutter using terminal. But if you're using Android Studio, you have a button here, new Flutter project. I hope you can see it. It is here, straightforward, new Flutter project. So go ahead and click on new Flutter project. So when you click on new Flutter project, they'll first ask you to put where you had put your Flutter files. I remember the SDK, we had to unzip it and save it in a path, maybe on disk C. Okay, so go ahead and select that path and put it here by just simply clicking there, here, and navigate to where you put your Flutter SDK, okay, folder, and select the Flutter folder and then select it. So that is where Android Studio will reference the Flutter SDK. So for me, I already have it. Then I'll click on what? On next. So when you click on next, the remaining will be simple. You create give your project a name, specify where you want it to be saved, give it a what? A description. So the remaining you may leave, okay? Leave the other things, okay? Just give it a name and then specify one to be saved and then give it a description and then see finish. So after it finishes, you can now go ahead and move that project from where it is and put it into your GitHub project, just like the way I have done what I have shown you. So that is when you do like this, you don't need again to do what? To write a command, okay? So that's it. So once your project is ready, me already have my project here, the one that I've just shown you, the one that I've just put in GitHub, this guy, okay? So I can open it in Visual Studio Code, or I can say show in the Finder. It is this one, okay? It is not really hard. Don't be scared, okay? So what I'm going to do, since I already have it, I'm going just to drag and drop this project into my Android Studio. So Flutter Shop, drag and drop, okay, into Android Studio. Okay, I'll drag and drop it into Android Studio. Or you can go ahead and say open project and navigate to where it is. Okay, so it is opening. I'll wait for it to open. So as it is opening, I will wait until it finishes. So it has finished opening. So that is just how we create a project, which is really, really simple. And at the beginning, it can become confusing, but when you create like 5 projects, oh, that will be just water. Okay, so we now have the project of Flutter open in Android Studio. So if you have a poor computer like a weak computer, please, it's time for you to what? To upgrade if you want to start making money out of what? Out of these things. So there we go. Now I'm going to explain everything step by step so that you should know the grounds of Flutter. I think I should use, okay, let me use here, no problem. I don't know how I can zoom so you can see things clearly. Let me go to settings and zoom, and then so that you can see things properly. I'll go to settings, preferences, and then I'll come to editor and come to font, and then I may make font maybe 18 so you can see clearly. Apply, and then I'll also come maybe to the appearance and come to appearance and come to font size. Here I make it also 17, the font of the text itself. Okay, I'll apply and everything will look like bigger. Okay, so I'm going to explain now the folder of Flutter project. So open your eyes very wide so you can see things clearly. Okay, so here we are. Let me even close everything so that you can be focused. Let me put it on a new window here. So once you create your Flutter project, you'll have folders. So I'm going to explain that structure of Flutter for project folder so that you can understand it properly. So I've opened my Flutter project here. So the next thing I'll have to expand here. So in expand here, you'll get a lot of confusion, but don't worry. But the main thing that you're going to be working with, there are just a few folders. The first folder is the lib folder, where you're seeing lib, library, okay? The second folder that you're going to work with is this asset folder. I think is also within the lib. So the main folder is the lib, okay? Is the lib. Then the other folders we have the pubsec.yaml. This is a file, and I'll explain what it means. So I'm going to go to the lib and expand it. That is, ignore the rest. Don't look at them. Just look at the lib. So when I expand the lib, it is having just only one file called what? Called main.dat. So that is where our whole project will always start from, in this main file. So your project can lack everything, but it shouldn't lack this main file. So the main file is where our project main.dat file is where the project is going to start from. Then we have another important file is called what? It's called pubsec.yaml. So this pubsec.yaml, it is where we'll be putting the configuration of our what? Of our Flutter. For example, you see the name of my package is here. Don't change it. And then when we'll be adding more packages into our project, we'll be adding them here. When we start using external images or using asset images, we'll be using them. We'll be adding them in this pubsec. So this pubsec is just a configuration file. So there are two main files to make a DAT or to make a Flutter project. The main file and this pubspec, not pubspec, the pubspec.yaml, .yaml. Those are the two important files that we need to create a Flutter project. So now the next thing is now to do what? To debug. Okay? To start debugging or to run your project. Now to run your project, before we even come to explanation of all these things, the first thing that we want to do, we want to see at least this application running. So to run your application, there are two things that have to be put into what? Into consideration. The first thing is, where are you going to run this project from? There are two ways. One of the way is through using what we call the emulator. Emulator is something like a phone. It is a phone that you can set up in Android Studio, and it works inside your what? Inside your laptop, inside your computer. That's what we call emulator. So it will work like a phone inside your computer. The second way is using your physical device. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate both of them. We're going to begin with the emulator, and then we'll show you how you can use what? The physical device to do what? To run your project. So to use emulator, your computer needs to be super powerful. I repeat it. To use emulator, if you don't trust your computer, please don't dare. Okay, your computer needs to be powerful like mine. Oh, it should need to be powerful. Need to have at least 8 GB RAM. So you are no longer now on 4 GB. You need to have 8 GB RAM and having an SSD. Okay, so that's when you can be able to use emulator without too much problem. Otherwise, if you're having 4 GB RAM and you want to use the emulator, your laptop will just freeze. So for the case, if you have 4 GB RAM, I'm going to show you how you can use now your physical laptop. Okay, I mean your physical mobile phone. Now to use an emulator, you'll have to first create an emulator. So you'll find the tab for emulators here. Can you see? Here, called Device Manager. So click on Device Manager. So if you don't have an emulator, you click here, Create Device. But I repeat, you should be having at least 4 GB RAM. And then you click on Next. You select the device that you want. If you want maybe Nokia, Pixel, all the devices will be here. Then you click on Next and go ahead and create it. Select the operating system that you want to put and then go ahead and create it. So this operating system should be already in your what? In your machine. If it's not there, you'll have to download it, which can cost you also another 1 more GB. Me already have mine here. One of them is already here. Tiramisu. I don't know, it is Android, maybe Android 13. And then go ahead and do it and install it. So that is how you create a device. It is just next step thing. But for me, I already have my device, so I don't need to create a new one. So you see, I already have here my Pixel phone, okay, and it's spending 11 GB on my laptop. So you also need to have storage. So you should have at least an SSD of 250 GB on your laptop. So it's not a thing for poor people. You really need to be rich. That's now the whole secret. To get started, you need to invest in. Otherwise, if you don't need to give it what it takes, then, of course, everyone wants to do these things. But why is it that few are doing it? You really need to have to invest. And that's the whole secret. So if you don't have someone to give you a secret, you'll try and reach in the middle and say, CV, and you'll quit. So I'm giving you the secret. You need to invest, put an SSD into your laptop, and increase its RAM. If the laptop does not have good RAM, cannot support SSD, please, you can sell it and buy a better laptop. You can invest even 1 million. But my friend, once you have this knowledge in your hand, you can't be broke. Trust me. So let me go ahead and open this guy. Okay, so I'll click on Run. So when I click on Run, it's going to open that emulator. I want to send this to my other phone. Okay. There we go. So now I've opened, my emulator is loading. So as I said, emulator is nothing but an Android phone or an iPhone into your laptop. Okay, so I have now Android phone. Can you see it? You see, it is here. You see, I now have an Android phone. Wow, beautiful. I can do anything with this Android phone. It's just like as a phone inside my laptop. But as I said, it is not for cheap laptops. For weak laptops, you may become annoyed, but that's the truth. You need to have a powerful laptop, at least 80 GB RAM. Okay, so please give it what it takes, but you'll get the profits if you understand once you understand this knowledge. So you see, I have now my emulator, so I may not need an iPhone. I mean a phone to do what? To debug. So once I have emulator, I'm now going to run my application, and it will come to this phone that I've just put in my laptop. So let me go ahead and run. So I can, once I've launched my emulator, so I'll click on this run. Okay. So I'll first select where I want this to run from. So I'm selecting should run from this emulator. Okay. This is where your devices will be showing. So I'll click on run. Likewise, if you're using Visual Studio Code, still the device will show. Okay, but with the Studio Code, you may find a lot of pain to succeed, but still at the end of the day, you'll succeed. So this is a point where many people give up from. But once you pass this level, oh, you'll be unstoppable. Okay, you'll be unstoppable. So when it is running for the very first time, it will take time. It may even take, according to how powerful your computer is, it may even take 1 hour while it is running for the first time. That's what you should know. It may even take even like 3 hours. So you should be aware that it will take too much time when it is compiling for the first time. But once it finishes compiling for the first time, later it will be fast. So for me, I had already compiled mine. Okay, so you see, here it is where I'll be seeing the progress. So you see, it is now installing the app into my emulator. So can you see? There goes. There we go. My app is now on the emulator. So I can collapse this guy. These things of Mac. I want to make it full screen, but it cannot allow to share the screen. So I can put the emulator here. You see? And then so I'll be creating the app, and then the thing is here. So here it is where you can be seeing the progress of the app. So that is our first application. Can you see? So I can click on plus and it is showing. Okay. Now, if I want to change here, you have pushed buttons this many times. So I can look for that text and I change it. You see here where there's Flutter demo app. So I can come and here and delete and call it Flutter shop, and I save. So when you press Ctrl and S, Flutter comes with what you call hot reloading. It will load and update even without compiling. So when you press Ctrl S, it will just load here, and then after, my changes will reflect without even too much pain. That's beautiful, isn't it? So we have our first our first mobile app. So for those with laptops which may not be able to support emulators, I'm going now to show you how you can use your Android phone to do what? To debug your application. By the way, that's what I always use. That's what I also use. You need to have an Android phone. Otherwise, if you don't have an Android phone, things will really be slow. Emulator will be disappointing you. So I'm going to show you how you can use your Android phone to do what? To debug your app. I want to join this Zoom using my phone. Let me join so that I show you how it is done. Oh my God. Let me send myself a link to my Android phone and I show you. So members, it is that simple. Or it is that hard. It depends on your attitude. Both can be true, but it depends on what? On how you look at things. If you were so fearful, and then it will be hard. But if you're really motivated and ready to face anything, if that's the attitude, like you're ready to face it all, then it is that simple. So let me send this Zoom code to my WhatsApp so I can join. Shit. Oh my God. Okay. I want to show you how you'll be using a mobile phone to debug. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll show you how. I've not been sharing my screen. You guys, have you been following? Wait a minute.
Yes.
What have you been seeing?
Everything.
But I see
Yeah.
share screen. Have I been sharing my screen?
Yes.
Sorry.
Been-
Oh, I see the button of share screen is still active. These Zoom people, they are not serious. If I'm already sharing my screen, why do they again say share screen? Okay. Now, I was scared that you guys were there masquerading. Kumbe, you are following. Okay, so I've joined with my phone. By the way, that's me, if you didn't know. That's the guy. Can you see me, guys?
Yes.
Am I handsome? Let me get feedback.
Of course.
Thank you. So that's your tutor, Muhindo Mbarak. Yeah. Simple guy.
Okay.
This is my workplace where I work from. I have my team there. Let me show you. Uh, today is a
Excuse me,
Tuesday.
sir.
Yes.
I can't see your screen.
You can see my face, right?
No.
Hey, bad luck. You can't see. Look around. You'll see me. You can't see me still? Okay. Others have seen me. So that is me. I'll cut this part from the video. Don't worry.
I'm saying ahead.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing my camera. I hope you've seen me all. Today is a Tuesday, so we don't mind much about wearing smart. That is my table.
Your laptop.
My laptop is there. My beast. That's my monitor. Those are my boys. That's my lady. Yeah. Yeah, we are here pushing things. We are doing stuff, technologies. Okay. So I'll stop sharing my screen. But good you've seen me today. Now, I want to share my screen and I show you how you can debug from what? From Android phone. Kato, you have something to say? Steve Kato.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I
Say
had
it.
something. You talked about having an Android phone.
Mm.
And I'm like, should we now come to the same time since I do iOS development and I use
iOS
yeah, for
first.
me to go into
So to answer you,
Android fully.
iOS you need an Apple Apple account to debug for iOS, but it is possible also
Yes.
for iOS. If you're having iOS, still it is possible. The same step that I've
Yes.
shown you, they're the same step that you need, that you do.
Yes.
But for iOS, you need an
Yes.
Apple account. If you don't have an
Yeah,
Apple
I have
account, you have it.
Yes.
Then everything
Yeah,
is
I've been
beautiful.
developing for a while. I have the things, but I was saying now switching to Android there, that's where the confusion is.
No.
I have to deal
You
with
can
my team.
you can do an emulator for iOS. I will show you.
Yes.
And if you have an iPhone, they are still exactly same steps.
No, yes, I understand, but I mean doing Android develop because I'm saying you're doing and you're going to teach Android development
Yes, sir.
fully.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
But I want to understand that. Should I still stay in my lane and just help my group mate?
I would. Okay.
But
I don't know whether.
to install Android Studio again and all those things.
So you'll develop for both. If you're using if you're using iOS, you need Android Studio. That's something that you did not know. So Android Studio understands iOS, and I'll show you.
Yeah.
You get it, eh? Your network is breaking.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I was
Kato,
saying,
yeah, if
yes.
I can answer you, let me try to answer. Then if you don't understand, then you will respond. Eh? First of all,
Okay.
if you're using iOS, if you're iOS guy, Flutter will run on either iOS or Android. So the single code that you'll write, you will decide whether you want to run it on your iOS emulator or Android emulator. So the decision is in your hands. So whether you want to work with your team or what, but the decision in your hand. The same code that I'm going to show you, that I'm going to run on
Yes.
Android phone, that is the same code, exactly same code that will run on your
Yes.
iOS. So it is up to you. For example, right
Okay.
now, I'm teaching using Mac machine. I'm on laptop of a Mac. But
Yes.
if I share with you my code, even if you're using an Android laptop or Windows laptop, still will be able to run it on your Android. So don't worry about the compatibility. Flutter provides both. Apart from
Yes.
slight changes, but you can debug for any. You get it, eh?
Yes.
And
Now,
Android
yes.
Studio will even support iOS. That's what, if that's what you're doubting.
No, I'm not doubting anything. I was saying that in the beginning of the sessions, I was doing, I requested that I still do iOS development natively, but
Yeah.
how I was, all of them are going to do Flutter, and I don't do real proper. I might tell them of app and Brave Sketch be implementing some logic, but I didn't want to mix my Brave and then fully. I would confuse myself.
Mm.
Oh, and I get
You're breaking, Kato, but I hope you're on the same page still. Kato, you're breaking. I don't know whether I'm the only one who is facing the challenge.
no. Yeah, I was saying.
Is
There's where you
first wait, Kato. If I ask you, is your concern for the whole people here in the class, or it's about you and your team?
no
First,
The way-
first
there's a way
differentiate
you are-
the two.
the
Then
team.
it's for the team.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead,
because everyone
please.
is to do Android now. Yes, now my team, that's where my concern was.
It is for the team.
How-
It's not for the whole class.
all of them are going to do Android. I know they are going to do it.
Uh-huh.
So you talked about okay, I didn't understand. You said okay, you need to put Android Studio. So then I thought that as you develop, focus is going to be mostly on Android. That was my
Yes.
request. Is that
Yes,
I
even
continue my iOS thing.
so if I
then
answer you, Kato, if I answer you, Android Studio is not just because you see when I say Android doesn't mean that you're not going to do iOS. Android Studio
Yes.
is going to be your main platform where you're even going to develop those iOS apps. Just click on Android Studio, click on the emulator, select the iOS emulator or select your iPhone. From Android Studio, it will debug even for your iPhone. You don't need again Xcode. That is the whole point. You don't need
Yes.
Xcode. I think I don't know whether I've answered you, but the point is Android Studio will use it even to create your iOS apps.
Yes.
I-
I get your point. I was saying that I'm used to Xcode by now.
So
Very
if
much.
Xcode does not support
Out of
Flutter,
1 point, I've never tried putting in,
so it will be up
but
to you.
I was saying learning Android Studio also might become hard for me.
Why?
So I was requesting still. No, because both of them are heavy.
Both of them are heavy.
They are heavy on the machine.
Which size?
Yes,
Which
they are heavy.
storage do you have on your laptop?
I have 256.
256.
And I put
Yes. That is little. Sure, you have to decide one. I get your point.
Yes.
I get where you're coming from. You have to decide one. So you either get a Windows machine or you get rid of VS
Exactly,
Code.
yes.
I understand now your problem, but that's a personal thing.
Yes, and I was saying personally because I have Visual Studio.
I get it.
.NET, then I
But-
have
but
Visual
you-
Studio
but-
Code, and then I have this Xcode. All
The
of
other
them are
side,
heavy.
you can use Visual Studio Code to run this Flutter. No problem.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You can use Visual Studio Code, still can do for you everything, eh? And remain with your Xcode.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay, welcome, Kat. I hope that thanks is genuine. Is it? Okay. we proceed. Kato, that's it. You can choose one unless you're having 500 GB on your storage, then you can be able to have both Android Studio because both guys are really giants. But still, you can have Android Studio. Android Studio not so heavy. It will not take more than 5 GB. It will not take more than 5 GB. So you can add it if you have like more than 10 GB in your laptop. So our time is up, but let me use 3 minutes to show you how you can debug from iPhone. Members who are not involved in our discussion, it's okay. It's part of the thing. But I'll cut non-important parts. But here you see that I look different. I look different from what? From what you expected? Oh, yeah, I'm just a boy. So I'll go ahead and search here. So what you do if you want to debug using your mobile phone. So this is the step number 1. You have to go to your mobile phone, as you can see my screen. Then look for, go to settings. Go to settings. Members, I hope you're following. Go to settings, and then go to where there is phone about the phone. You can search it, but you can look for it. About the phone, I don't know where you can find it. It's systems, okay? And then look where there is about. I don't know where it is. Okay, I can search it. So wherever it is, but look where there is about phone. Just search for about this phone. Okay. So navigate where there is about. Okay. I had clicked back. So go where there is about the phone. Is it here? Let me go step by step anyway. So come to settings. Look where there is about the phone. I don't know where it can be found. This is a new phone. I think it is systems, and it will always be on bottom, I think. And then about phone. It's not here. It depends on which phone you're using. I've been using Samsung, but this guy, I look for it, and I see about the phone. How can I find it? Okay, let me come. My phone. Yeah, I think it's around here.
Go to your phone.
Yeah. My phone. Then now where you go, where there is build number. So whatever phone that you're using, whether you're using Samsung, whether you're using Katochi, whether you're using Kabiriti, an Android phone, whatever phone you look for, there is this guy, build number. So I hope you're listening, members. So click on build number 3 times. Okay. So when you click on build number 3 times, they will tell you that you have enabled developer what? Developer options. That is step number 1. Then come back to the main thread of settings and go to bottom. You'll find something called developer options. For me, I've found it here in other systems, but most of the time it will be here on settings. Then go, you'll find developer options here. This you'll not see it if you're not a developer. Kabiriti, it's not possible. I was joking. So go to developer option. Okay. So click on developer option and set some settings. Enable it. If it's not enabled, go ahead and enable debugging. Put it on. And then you can make your phone to always be awake. Stay awake when you're developing. And then what? Okay. And then enable this guy here. Can you see where there's USB debugging? That's the most important part. Click enable USB debugging. Okay. So once you enable the USB debugging, then get the USB cable, put it in your laptop, and connect it to your phone. So once you do that, you'll be able to now see your phone under the debug elements. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I've enabled developer options. I've connected my phone with my laptop, and then if I'm using either Visual Studio Code or I'm using Android Studio, I'll be able to see this guy here. Can you see? If I come here where there is phone, I'll be able to see my phone. So if it is Samsung, if it is Tecno, if it is whatever phone, now you can be able to do what? To select it. Now let me stop the emulator, and I'm going to select the phone. Right click here. You see, I'm selecting now Tecno. So it means that I'm selecting a physical phone. So for those who are not using phone, you will have to select a physical phone and then select run. So it will process, and then the application is going to come to your what? To your phone. And then there you can even start sharing your friends' experience of how you're doing what? You're becoming a real mobile application developer. So let it load before we go to our break. When it finishes, then we'll go for a break. And then these minutes that we have used, maybe they're 10 minutes, we will reduce them from the second session. So it is compiling. So you wait. So if you're using Samsung, you'll find Samsung there. So here on this run, it is well be seeing the progress. So you see it is installing the app. Now it is installing the APK. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my phone's screen and you see what is happening. So my phone has come, has shown the app. So it will load. I hope you can see my phone screen. Let me. Okay, let me share my phone screen and you see. Don't worry, these minutes we will reduce them on the second session. So, hope you can see my screen. You see? The app is there. Beautiful. Can you see? It is there. So this is my phone. So, you have your laptop there. You have your phone connected. And you are able to debug. You see? When a curriculum plus, it is increasing. So that will become your first what? Your first application. So before Thursday, I'll need at least someone to have what I've just done here. So beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go for a break of how many minutes? 5 minutes. So by 30 past 3, we will come and start the last session. Now that's what we're going to do now, the real magic. Keep time and don't miss. After 5 minutes, immediately from now. So let's go and drink some water and come after 5 minutes. At a half past what? At 3:30. Yes, Ka. Am I muted? Yes, Ka. You look lovely. Vani. Should I compare you?